Hiya, hiya. So, I wanted to talk about my JJK curse technique. Oops, sorry guys, little mic fell. So my mic came, it's the 7th of October. Anyway, so I want to do a special video for today, so I've been writing this for the past few days. So I'm sorry if this video goes out late, because it is the 7th of October and I don't have a video prepared. Yay, so this is probably going out like at some random ass time. That's gonna be fun. But anyway, I kind of wanted to do some basic gameplay while I was, chatting. So we're going to be playing 2 Gojos. I'm kidding, I'd never get any work done. We're going to be playing Ghetto. First off, let's... Oh, hi. I forgot I can change style like this. I forgot how that works.
Don't worry. I see how we can win.
And for supporter, I'm just gonna go with probably Toto. So, what would my curse technique be? That's this special video idea. This is a special video idea. I would now, to preface this, I like copy techniques and I like having memory. Because I like having advanced memory techniques. Because I think it's fun. Like, it's just fun, because it means you can gain techniques from the verse, and you don't need to think of a million different things. So I've got about 6 or 7 pages of stuff, so we're going to slowly go through this as the video goes on. First off, I'm going to start by doing my first page. So the curse technique would be called Archive, and it allows the user to have permanent and full access to all of their memories, even forgotten. By the way, this is like an A6 piece of paper or something, I don't know. So basically, the soul has memories. That's the idea of the technique. When my guy unlocks the technique accidentally, he would effectively just never forget anything ever again and have easy access to it. It works like a book sort of format. That's how it kind of works. It's the books in his techniques that are his memories and his curse technique, but other people can't use his curse technique. It's like his memories are engraved inside his technique. An easy way to explain it. When touching another entity, human, spirit, cursed item, the cursed energy is slowly drained based on 100% of the total amount of energy they can contain. As cursed energy is drained, 2 books are made, which are made up of the cursed techniques and memory. Cursed techniques would include everything about their ability, so simple domain, domain extraction, or whatever that technique that Jogo used against Gojo to cancel out Limitless, that sort of thing. I think it's a pretty good technique. So effectively every battle I'm going to be doing 1 page, and I'll just chat about it in general. Because again, I'm very proud of techniques like this. I am just absolutely proud of myself for figuring this sort of thing out.
Here I come.
Because I just really like these sort of techniques. I think they're interesting, and I have a JoJo stand like this in my head. And it has slightly different effects. In the JoJo stand case, it copies, weapons, it copies stands, and it copies, basically everything. And its negative is the fact, this curse technique has negatives as well, but its negative is that all the stats go down by 1 tier. So if you're facing something like the world and you don't have Star Platinum the world, you effectively lose, but it means that over time my character gets a large amount of techniques, so they can just do more and more.
How do you like this?
Yeah. But yeah, this technique is gonna have, you're gonna hear it, and it's gonna have like negatives and it's gonna have positives. I just want to, have a little bit of gameplay in between it. But yeah,
Going on the offensive. Come after me.
it's a pretty gosh darn good technique in my opinion. Because it's just really kind of just stellar.
Expand our scope. I'm done going easy on you. Going on the offensive.
Like, here's the next page where part of this animation happens. Important memories and secrets kept hidden are closer to the 10% amount. So what I mean by this amount is it's based on 100% of their maximum curse energy. So,
Wider now. Going on the offensive.
so imagine that like 100% is the top amount and like 0% is the bottom amount. If you have 0%, if you get to 0%, then you have the full access to all their current memories and technique. And it is based on like percentages, so if the person only has 50% of their curse energy at the time, it'll be significantly faster to gain memories and stuff. And if someone has 0 curse energy, like Maki and Toji, the technique works very, very, very fast. And it's also based in the difference between someone's curse energy and stuff. So if you're putting like Gojo up against a basic human, it will be instant. You put in Yuta against like basic human beings, it's going to be instant.
This the end. I'm down.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, next bit. As more and more technique is gained and the efficiency improves up to the original at that point, techniques like Blue require the user to finish the calculation themselves until 100% is gained. What that means is Blue and Red need like high calculations to figure out. Like Todo's technique, you're going to need to manually finish the Boogie Woogie to get it happen normally. But there are blueprints which I will get in later. Anyway, so then we have the notes section. This is, for the starting basic technique, a bunch of notes on the idea. So I'll go through, finish off this page in a little bit. Due to the 6 eyes, Gojo progression is very slow and will only surpass 99.9 with the domain death effect, which I'll get into later, but it effectively just gives a little push. Geto's soul, which is what the technique works on, is protected by all his cursed spirits, with the weakest on the edge and the strongest being closest to his soul. So that means you're going to get like the basic insects and stuff that he has on him, and you're going to have to slowly drain all of that away before you start accessing his abilities. Yeah, the body can be mimicked at 100% via shapeshift / Mahito like soul theory. You know how Mahito is like, I change my body by manipulating the shape of my soul? That. If you have 100% of someone's memory and curse techniques, you can look like them. Like, you could look exactly like Gojo, for example. Book reading is very fast in the technique. It's not just speed reading, it's going through very, very fast. Like, each day of a person's life is an instant. It's very quick. But you don't really get, like, time to think in that domain, and that's sort of, like, not the domain of the technique, but you don't get to think, like, much about it. Like, it's like basic comprehension. It'd be like reading a Spider-Man book and then being comic book and then be like, do I like this sort of case? Anyway, curse technique calculations can be interrupted or changed mid-cast, e.g. to open your own domain. So imagine you got like Sukuna's domain, somehow you could interrupt the, flow. So you create the open domain barrier, and then when you go to throw your soul in, you change it up. Like, if I told you 2 plus 2, you could immediately say that's 4. But if I say 2 minus 2, you have to think for a second, then you say 0. It's like that. You can change a slight bit and disrupt the technique, but the more you disrupt, the harder it is. Like, assuming the second 2 that's the soul part, you could change that to a 6. You're not going to change up the incantation too much. so you'll be able to pull off your own domain a lot easier. And then the final one for this page, multiple techniques can be used at the same time depending on focus. So you could hold up Gojo's technique to have access to the 6 eyes and stuff, while using like Sukuna's domain. But the more stuff at once, the harder it is to focus. So if you're in a battle at the same time, it's going to be really hard to keep up focus. You know, we're getting through. I think you guys are going to like the domain and open domain style technique part.
Better be prepared.
I just think it's a really fun technique and interesting.
Make an opening. Going on the offensive.
It's just kind of fun. Because again, I like copy techniques. I think they're just the coolest techniques. People with copy techniques, when they don't just immediately win, is just due to overconfidence or lack of understanding and ability. And because of how much I like memory,
Going on the offensive.
and how much I have a fear for Alzheimer's and dementia sort of things, I think it's a technique that fits me, because techniques are based on someone's soul. I have a mantra where I just don't like forgetting stuff, and it's one of the biggest reasons I'm not really confident in certain areas, because I don't like being forgetful. No, couldn't get there in time to do the clap.
Done going easy on you. Going on the offensive.
And I like copy techniques because I just like applications of different applications of... Oh, come on. Yeah! So how this is going. Cursed spirits can go through walls, so if the user absorbs one fully, they can gain that trait. Basically, to explain this, the 6 eyes is a trait, and if you're actively using Gojo's abilities, you know, at 100%, you could use 100% of 6 eyes.
I've seen and I'll let you go.
Let me have some fun. We work well together.
That's kind of basically how the technique works.
Come after me. Wider now. Wider now. I'm down.
Okay, let's finish off this page. The user can select a cursed energy total to have as their own, dependent on max energy absorbed percentage based. So, if you only have 50% of Gojo, you'd only have access to 50% of Gojo's max energy reserves. And of course, the difference that you have between yourself and your opponent depends on how fast it'll go. So, Gojo's progression will be very slow if you didn't have energy near equal to him, because touching him. Also, as a note that I genuinely forgot to add, your cursed energy, as long as it's connecting with your body, also applies this trait. So if you got like a long bit of string and you've imbued your cursed energy into it, similar to Yusu's sword, you'd sort of, your technique would work through it. Okay. If a entity's technique changes and loses traits, then a new technique book is made. For an example, 10 shadows. So you have a spirit that is tamed, that would make a new spirit, a cursed technique book. And if a spirit is killed, that would add a new technique book. Because both of which are benefits to the user that changes the technique. Depending on how strong this loss or changes, it's further in. Example, 10 shadows. Dogs are closer to the 100%, while Maharanga is closer to the 0%. This means if a person's technique changes too much before you can get that full copy in again, that's not good. But the memory book will fill in faster, and if the memory book is complete, then the technique absorption is faster, because the technique doesn't need to focus as much on learning stuff. So full domains are at 20% of someone's energy, typically, it depends on the person. Open domains are at 0 because they're usually the pinnacle of what someone can do. Semi-domains, like Megamin's Ignis games, like Ultimate Move, that sort of technique where it sort of just fills up on walls and the floor, and doesn't actually create a barrier. That's at 50%. Simple domains are at 60, but if it's your only domain move, then it's at like 10%. Falling Blossom, which is a domain move, you know, the guided and the fish domain, are at 50%. I think that's fair. Heavenly Restrictions, because their physical traits, are at 0%. 6 Eyes Fully is at 0%, but you slowly gain more and more of it. Like, you got 5.9 eyes if you're at 99.9. Advanced Barrier Techniques are at 10%. Kenjaku's Body Switching is at 0%. Mahito no Blueprints is at 0% because it's very important. Without that point, you gain access to blueprints. Blueprints are things they've done in the series, like Mahito's weird horse legs, I think. I don't remember what kind of legs they are. Goat legs, whatever. That sort of like thing is a blueprint, and that's just an example of what you can do. So if you had a JoJo stand, and you had someone like Josuke's Part 4, you could only like fix things that he's fixed in ways that he's fixed them. Okay, does that make sense? Fingers only add to max curse energy limit, but Itadori's technique includes Sukuna because, you know, Sukuna's a part of him. So this means that each time you open the book, Sukuna realizes, oh, I'm in this person's technique. But then when you close the book, his existence goes away, and it sort of resets. Okay, that's 2 more pages, so we got 1 more page, and then we'll be on to the domain.
Here I come.
I think it's a good technique so far. It's very much overpowered,
We can win
but
this.
it's also a slow burn
Come
technique.
with me.
I think Yuta's copy technique, while cool,
No getting distracted.
is also kind of bad
I know.
because
You're gonna
the
win
series
this.
never really focuses on how many curse techniques he has. And the series really, you know, techniques don't get too much stronger over time.
Going
Ah,
on the
missed.
offensive.
Well, when Nobu's over there, we can just jump on Momo.
Come after me. Come. I'm not letting you go. Best get back. There's an opening.
It'd be fun if Todo could swap more, just to do joint attacks and help out with that. Yeah, I think my technique's coming along. Obviously, you guys are probably very interested in the domain, but I made the domain so it's like balanced in a way. Like, the technique is very powerful, but I like the idea that while you do get drained a lot,
Come after me.
you know, of your curse energy and the touch idea, where the more you interact with, the more it slowly drains you. It's been on my head for like a couple years, and I'm very happy to be able to say about it. Domain expansion. Simple domain. I like the idea that you sort of use spirits and stuff, but again, it's a very slow burn technique. It takes a while. But I think it's kind of better than Yuta's, because Yuta's domain is based on Rika a lot. But he also has a really big starting curse energy limit. So I like to think that means that his technique itself is a bit weaker. But considering my character has to work for a lot more, I think it's better, okay, that they have a relatively strong starting technique.
Higher and higher.
Higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. I think it's kind of fair.
Going on the offensive.
As a general note, by the way, I will not play Sparking Zero on Tuesday, which is when the pre-order stuff happens.
It's the end.
I will be playing it for myself, but obviously you guys will get at least one video on it. Hopefully I can do the episode battle stuff. That'd be nice. While this is happening, let's do another one. Maki/Toji's physical restriction on their thing lasts for 1 minute. What this means is, effectively, that if you use it, you have access to no curse energy for 1 whole minute. The user still has access to their technique in terms of memories and stuff, because it's their technique, it's kind of inherent.
Time to going on the offensive.
So I think it's kind of fair and justified.
Wider now.
Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Come on, I must that. But yeah, I think that's a fair thing, because if you're using physical restriction, you probably want to use it for just a little bit of time. My headphone just fell out my ear. Doing that. I still hear the game, which makes me think that the game's pretty loud. Yeah, I think that's a fun idea. Binding vows can allow a book from the domain to be used outside of the domain. This is like Sukuna. The user can use any book at any point, even if the book is used by someone else out of the domain. I think I skipped over something. Oh yeah, I already talked about Heavenly Restriction. So, domain expansion. Library of the Mind. It's a pretty fun technique idea. So the motion is the index fingers. So, you know, the left one to your middle finger, if it's on your right hand, goes on your temple. Same with the left hand. And then your tongue goes out. I think that's funny. Library of the Mind. So the domain is much larger on the inside, but comes with benefits for the user, domain, and people placed inside. Being in the domain applies the touch drain effect, and your body, clothes included, touching the walls or objects inside the domain increases this drain effect. So if you're like touching the floor with your shoes, it's going to use a bit, it's going to drain you a bit more. And the more you're touching stuff, the more it's going to drain you. This drain still applies the copy effect, but the energy improves the strength of the domain. This also applies to anyone touching the domain on the outside. So this is kind of like, basically you don't use energy to keep up the domain, so the domain will break and weaken if nobody's in it. But people can just be fully drained by the technique, you know, faster because of this. It's a scaling technique. It's not really that offensively helpful for the user, and it has a lot of benefits for the opponent, but it's just going to drain them. So if they're grade 4, they're probably going to lose very quickly, especially if the opponent's very strong. But this drain effect will get stronger the stronger the domain is. So if you see this domain activate, you want to destroy it quickly through your own expansion or other means. The user is immune to this drain. The benefit to others is techniques dissolve passively and are drained by the domains. This includes the users, and are copied when absorbed. This applies to summons as well. So someone like Megamin would be very disadvantaged in this domain. The domain looks like a library with bookshelves and books on it. These are like in somewhat like good order. They are indestructible outside of breaking the domain or clashing. So again, you have to break the domain to, you know, destroy it or any objects inside. This can make for good hiding spots and stuff. Anyone can access any techniques or memory book, but have to manually read or follow the instructions of the technique, but only while holding and the book is open. Books have a title, cover, and blurb. This makes it, you know, a bit easy to figure out what's going on. A bit easier. The books have words and pictures, and they are of different style based on the person, but they'll still have the same amount of information and be legible. It's just that one person might have a comic-y style, one person might have a manga-y style, and other stuff. Books cannot be removed from the domain. Anyone who dies in the domain adds 40% to their memory and technique books, which is pretty useful. By the way, didn't mention this, but if someone just gains access to a new technique that doesn't really lose them anything or, gain them in a different way to what they have normally. Like Megumin getting his semi-domain, it doesn't really add to anything. It just, adds to the technique book. There is also an open domain, which we'll get into next battle.
Okay.
But the technique is pretty cool so far, isn't it? I think it is, at least.
We can win this. Come with me.
I think it's a great technique so far.
This battle.
Because over time, my user would become incredibly strong,
Being left behind. I'll turn this.
but might not be as good at some of his techniques than other people. But, in this big... But he becomes really good. Anyway, mini dog versus domain time. Fun fact, I read the patch notes, they did not fix the Megumin dog issue.
Flowing red scale. Come after me. Longer now. Kick him up.
As a side, in JJK, the last chapter reveals that Megumin has his dogs again.
This is the end.
But the dog symbol is the same.
Going on the offensive.
So this means that Sukuna might have doubled his technique, which I think is interesting.
Not a problem.
Yep, dog still works.
Still.
Man, dog versus domain. That dog got heavenly restriction.
I'm not done yet.
But the dog got heavenly restriction. He's immune to domains.
Going on the offensive.
Yeah, go Toto! Go Toto! Go Toto! Oh, I got these Goodman earphones. They're pretty good. They're £15. They're a solid product, and that's what I love about Goodman's. It's always a solid project or a solid item. They're pretty good. Casually, I'd recommend a lot of Goodman products. Let's talk about that mic real quick because I like rambling. The mic really didn't go that well because it's supposed to be a PC and laptop mic. PlayStation is confused that it's not a headphone. And it's also not it's registering the audio is happening, but it's not like recording the audio. Like it's entirely silent, which scares me. That I've wasted the product, and yeah, I don't like using my laptop anyway. So.
Come after me. Is the end? Still.
Yeah, they're both gone. Oh god, that was Toto. Toto died. I'm really proud of this technique because it's been in my head for a while.
You're mine now.
Go Toto.
Why?
No, the frog.
Going on the
Oh my god, did he time that like perfectly? Oh my god, I forgot about triangle combos.
Wider now.
It's so funny. This move does not work well in like lobbies and stuff.
Wider now. Need a bit more time. Take this up a notch.
Come on, Toto. Thank you, Toto. Black Flash. Okay, let's get into the open domain. Because my character's potential is high, the technique's potential is high, so I think open domain style. But obviously, a library doesn't work open domain style because of how they work. The center point is on a large tree. So this domain's name is the Tree of Wisdom. The open domain center is a tall tree with long branches. There aren't really any leaves, but there could be leaves. The books are leaves. The user can walk inside of the trunk. Think like Poison Ivy from Batman Arkham Knight. You know those scenes where she's like, "Oh, Batman, I will go into my massive tree." Then she goes into her massive tree. It sort of like breaks around her. Basically, it works as a good defensive formation for the person. The tree is similar to Yuka's domain, but instead of the swords, it's instead leaves. And in this case, they open up like a book detailing a single move/summon. So you can get any of the 10 shadows. It's kind of like a gambling thing, but you can get any single technique. You can get a blue leaf, you can get a red leaf, you can get a purple leaf, you can get a boogie woogie leaf. It's a lot. There's a 50-50 chance a book will be the memory book instead, and it'll be a person's memory book. And every opening will force a person to view a random day in that person's life, which will be instantaneous. It'll be instantaneous on the outside world, but for them, they just spent like a day literally watching through someone's eyes. And whilst the book is open, cursed energy will be drained. Cursed energy can be used to increase the size of the tree and branches. This is kind of just what happens, and it increases the strength of the domain. It allows it to get larger and larger range over time. Gojo's information overload part of his domain counts as a technique that, whilst open and touching an entity, has infinite weight. So if it hits the ground, it just is a normal like leaf's weight sort of case. Anyone touching the tree can request a book, and they will be given a random, not currently out of the domain book. And that's my curse technique for JJK. I think it's interesting. It just is.
Let's get started.
It's very cool. I'm gonna have a little drinky drink.
We can win this.
We can win this.
Come with me. I'll turn this around.
Also, I think it's interesting that they didn't just give him the young ghetto. I know it's like the Zero outfit, but it's just funny.
Come out over.
Oh yeah, this is like one of Ghetto's worst matchups himself.
Going on the offensive. Come after me. Time to wrap this up.
No. Toto had the exact same mind as me then. He was like, nope, do not let that thing get out.
Going on the offensive. Come after me.
Yeah, I really like my idea of my technique. Obviously, I've been trying to write it up from my head for the past while, and there are a lot of things that I just decided to take out and say, nah, that's not cool.
Run you through. Can't done this yet. Going easy on you.
But I think it's interesting because it's sort of a wear down technique.
Wider now.
That over time just gets stronger and stronger.
How do you like this?
No.
Teamwork. Keep up with me. So you. I'm a bit wider now. Here I come. Going on the offensive. Nice move.
I'm getting jumped. I'm getting Jujutsu jumped. But yeah, what are your thoughts on my technique? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Again, I don't mind being a little overpowered. I think it's fair that my character starts with relatively low curse energy. Do you want to hear some funny stuff I thought about my technique? I think you do. Anyway, imagine like, you know, touching someone and just like getting like the passive thoughts of the day, or like just like trauma from them or someone. I think that's a little bit funny, personally speaking.
Higher and higher. Take it. This the end?
Todo, he beat Gojo.
Come after me.
You might know everything that I'm going to do, but I know everything that you're going to do. Strange, isn't it?
Higher and higher. This is
Higher and higher and higher and higher.
one down.
One down.
No, not yet.
I think it's just an interesting technique. It's cool. I could go over my JoJo technique. But I kind of did, you know.
We have new items in stock. Please take a look.
This day is number 1. Bargain price trio. Toji Inamaki D. I got his D. It's pretty funny. Fiendish Big Sister. And Assassin Maid.
Be careful out there.
Yeah. So, I think an interesting aspect is absorbing cursed items. I would think that it would remove the technique, but I do also have a technique that I made for Yuji a while ago. That was effectively he eats stuff and he gains their properties. Like he can eat cursed items, like the Gojo beating Inverse Blade, and he would gain that effect, so he could just punch away domains. And I thought that was interesting for a character, but I like to think he would just be able to like negate the effects of, you know, stuff. Like if he just absorbs, you know, 100% of a cursed spirit, they disappear. Like Gojo could be like, oh hey, what's this this volcano's deal, and he could like rip his head off, and then my character would just be able to just drain his like memories of that thing, with it increasing in speed because he has less cursed energy of his maximum. That's how it works. So if you're in a long fight, not only are you draining with a domain, but you're draining in like so many ways that it adds to it. Like you drain someone's technique by touching them each time you hit them. You drain someone's, and it of course works through clothes. So then your domain expand and you just keep draining them, and as the, you know, it gets like better and better as time goes on. Obviously someone's got cursed energy efficiency like Gojo on top. Yeah, cursed energy efficiency makes it harder. So someone like Sukuna would make it harder and harder to like be fast at it. You know, if that makes sense. It would just be like hard to keep it up, if that makes sense. Also, if he touched Itadori, my character, he would, you know, get sucked into Sukuna's soul realm. But yeah, I think I've shared, you know, some nice details about myself, you know, a cool concept. I think that's a good thing for October 7th. So on the 8th, I will probably upload maybe an Astrobot video. I think that will be fun. And then on the 9th, I will upload a Sparking Zero video. Again, I've got to hope that Epic Mickey and Sparking Zero do not do the stupid PlayStation share thing. That's what I'm hoping. PlayStation share devs, if you are looking at this, please turn it off for Sparking Zero. I get sometimes you really don't want that sort of thing to happen, but otherwise I'm gonna have to think about some way around it, and I don't want a Twitch stream because I don't really know how that works on PlayStation very well. I do want to try it out though, but I don't want consistency. If I'm ever going to do something like that, it'll need to be Mondays from like 9 to 12, Thursdays 9 to 12, and Friday 9 to 12. I'm thinking about doing it, but I don't really know if I should. It stresses me out. Anyway. Bye bye, hiya hiya.